Hey everyone, and welcome to this first video in the series of learning HTML and HTML5. So what is HTML? Well, HTML is a markup language which is used to define every component that you'll see on a web page. So it's basically what you use to create the structure of your page. Everything from text to images to hyperlinks will be written out in HTML. And HTML5 is just the latest version of HTML, but it's very different from previous versions. It supports multimedia, like videos and sound. It's also got a much more semantic layout, which can be good for making structured web apps. So let's get started in writing some HTML. All you need to get started is a text editor and a web browser. So here I'm using Sublime Text. You can use any text editor, you can use Notepad if you like, or you can use something more advanced like an IDE, which you might want to do if you're making bigger applications. But for this, Sublime will be fine. It's got some good tools like syntax highlighting, layout, multiple columns. So yes, and a text editor as well as a web browser. So here I'm using Google Chrome. I'm going to quickly define 3 terms that we use in HTML to create our document. The first term is the tag. A tag is basically a component. So you'll have, in this example, we've got the title tag, you might have a paragraph tag, you might have a heading tag. So to create a tag, you just write the tag name surrounded by angle brackets. And then you will put the content in the middle and then the closing tag. For example, if we wanted to create a paragraph tag, we will do the tag name, which is simply just P, the content, here I'm doing hello world, and the closing tag. So note that the closing tag is exactly the same as the opening tag, except for it's got a slash, forward slash before it. So this will be the same for any tag. If you do create a heading tag, like that, you'll see exactly the same structure. Okay, so the next term is the element. So an element is the whole tag, including its content. So if I wanted to create a text box, that text box would be an element. So here, this heading is an element, and it's made up of 2 tags, as we've just seen, for content in the middle. And finally, an attribute. An attribute is how we add additional information to our tags, and there's loads of extra information we can add. We can give it a title, some alternative text. Here I'm using the class attribute, which we'll come on to later. It's how you link your tags to styles. So if I wanted to show you an example of an attribute, we can do P, like we've just done. So we've got our text tag here, and we might want to give this a title. So when the user hovers their mouse over it, they'll see the text in the title attribute. So to create an attribute, you just type the name of the attribute without any commas, followed by an equal sign, followed by the value of the attribute in quotations, and that will always be the same. Right, so let's now get on to creating a web page. First, I'll just quickly show you how to run your HTML. So if I have a test page like this, all you do is you save it anywhere, such as here. You can save it as whatever you like, but make sure you use the .html extension, and then navigate to the path of the file you've just saved in your web browser. You can do that by going to the file viewer, right click, opening Chrome. But here I'm just going to go to, so this is the page we just created. Right, so HTML page structure. The first thing every HTML page starts with is this rather strange tag called the doctype tag. And what this does is it tells the browser that the page it's viewing is not only HTML, but the version of what version of HTML it is too. So in this example, this is the doctype you use for HTML5. If we were writing an a HTML4 page, we would use a slightly different doc type. Same as for XHTML5 would be a slightly different doc type, XHTML4. And it's very important that you put the doc type because otherwise the browser won't be able to, or it will automatically detect what version of HTML you're running and might get it wrong. The next thing we do is we have the HTML tag, and everything in our HTML page will go between these HTML tags. So see, this is the same structure as what we saw earlier. And now I'm going to give this HTML tag the attribute of language. So here's a good example of the attributes that we were looking at earlier as well. What this language attribute does is it tells the browser, well, what language is in. In this case, we're using English. This is very important if, for accessibility reasons, if you've got a user using a screen reader, the screen reader may read it in a different accent if you've got language equals US or whatever language you're using. Next, we are going to create the head tag. Now, inside the head tag goes all the information about the document and none of the document's content. For example, we might have the title of the document, title, and this will be what is displayed in the top of your browser's window or in the tab. So it's not actually displayed on the screen. I'll quickly show you. If you come to your browser, refresh, we've now got HTML demo 1 because this is the title that we defined here. So next up, we're going to quickly add the meta tags. These just give information about the document. So this one, the character set, UTF-8, you don't need to worry about what this does. It just defines the character set. It's good for search engine optimization if you include it. So yeah, this meta tag is going to be the description of our document. Description. You can put whatever you like there. Alright, sorry, I meant to actually do content. No, I meant to do name equals description. And then content equals, put whatever you like in the content, but this is what will display in, if you search this website into Google, this is what will display in the black text below the blue link. So it's quite important that you include it for search engine optimization. The final meta tag we're going to add is going to be the keywords tag. This is just a list of keywords that will help people find your website. So you can put whatever you want in there. But it's good to try and get them relevant. Now, what you might notice about these tags, meta tags, is they haven't got a closing tag like the head and HTML tags have. In HTML, this is fine. This is normal. And it's because the content is all defined in attributes rather than between the tags. If you are using XHTML, which has to be valid XML, then to make it valid, you would have to do a slash before the closing tag, but you can't do that in HTML5. It's not valid. So if you see written a meta tag like that, that's because it's XHTML, not HTML. So don't do that. Right, next we're going to actually add some content to our document. Now, all the content that we're going to view is going to go between what we call the body tags. Why is that one up there? Like that. So if we wanted to add maybe a heading, we can use the h1 tag. Like that. Text, we can use the paragraph or the span tag. Here I'll use the paragraph. You can put whatever you'd like to display here. And now let's save it and go away to Sublime. Save it and see what it looks like in our browser. Yep, that's our HTML document. So thanks for watching this tutorial, and there'll be the link to the next one below this video.